Hello and welcome back to Matt's Casual Cooking. Today we are going to be making Asiago chicken spread and garlic oregano dip. Two fun food items that you can make for really any get-together, but especially this time of year during the summer. Take to any sort of get-together. So we're going to go over all the ingredients and how to put them together, and let's get to it. All right, folks, so we're going to go over the ingredients that you're going to need today. Now we're going to start with the Asiago chicken spread. So what you're going to want to do first is you want 3/4 to a pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast, cut into 1/2-inch cubes, and you're going to want to salt and pepper those. And you're going to want to let it at least sit with the salt and pepper for 30 minutes to an hour or overnight. And that's really going to let the flavor get into the chicken. Now you're also going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, and you're going to need 2 garlic cloves, and those are going to need to be minced. You're also going to need 1/3 cup of salted cashew halves, 1/3 cup of mayo. You're going to need 1/2 cup of chopped onions. You're going to need 1/4 cup of shredded Asiago cheese. You're going to need 1/4 cup of basil. Now, if you can find fresh, that'll be a bit better than dried, but if not, dried is sufficient. And you're going to need 1/2 teaspoon of hot sauce, any kind you want. Now, for the garlic oregano dip, you're going to need 1 cup of mayo. You're going to need 8 ounces of sour cream, or 1 cup. You're going to need 1 small red onion, either sliced or chopped. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. You're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now for your bread, though, you're going to need a round loaf of sourdough bread. If you can find a 1-pound loaf, and it has to be unsliced, do it. But if not, you can see I've got 1 small loaf here. I got another small loaf. So get 2 small loaves, and just like I said, make sure they are unsliced and they are in this bowl-like shape. So other than that, we're going to go over the oregano dip first because it's really the easiest to do. So I will see you in a minute. Alright, folks, and like I said, doing the oregano dip first, all you got to do is, besides the bread, just put everything together, and you're just going to want to take a whisker or just something, and we're just going to make sure it's well combined. That's really all we're doing here. And then what you want to do is, once you have it where you feel like it's pretty well combined, is we're just going to cover it for the time being, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator. Just put some plastic wrap over it, and then you're just going to want to use it until you need it, really. So if you're making this the night before, you don't want to put it in the bread, you just want to let it sit. And plus, too, what that's going to do is going to let the flavor of like the onions and the other spices just kind of get in here and just kind of permeate it and just make it taste pretty good. So go ahead and do that, and then we're going to actually just move on to the bread. So I will see you in a minute. All right, folks, so I've got my bread bowl out. Now I do have a bread knife. If you don't have one, just try to get a blade that's kind of serrated a little bit. But this will basically, if you don't have a bread knife, I highly suggest you get one. They're really good for cutting, and they don't like tear the bread in a way that makes it not great. So what we want to do is kind of start from the top, and you're just going to want to try to cut a circle. Kind of move that out of the way. It's not perfect, but that's okay. And what you want to do is kind of grab Just take out as much of the bread as you can. You don't want to cut all the way to the bottom. We want to leave a little, a little bit at the bottom to actually hold the dip in it. So once you think it's pretty good, I think it's pretty good. I probably could have cut a little bit more off here, but that's all right. So then just take your top, and we're going to cut it, because these are also what you're going to use to dip with. Then just cut it into little squares. All right, so go ahead and do that for both of them, and we will actually start on the chicken spread. So I will see you then. All right, folks, so what you can see I have started here is I've added my butter and I've added my chicken, and you just want to cook your chicken for about 6 to 8 minutes, and by that time it will be cooked all the way through, and you're going to get some nice browning on top of the chicken as well. And then once that's done, we're going to just move on to the next step, so I will see you then. Alright folks, so the chicken is done, and you need to just kind of cut up some of the bits, but you can see some of them have a pretty nice brown shear on the outside of it. So they're pretty much done. If you cut some of them open, they're no longer pink inside. So what you want to do now is go ahead and add your garlic. And all we're going to do now is we're only going to cook it for just about a minute. That's really all we need at this point. And now you have two options with the cashews. Once your garlic is done, if you want, go ahead and add your cashews to this and just kind of cook it for about another minute. Or if you want to just go ahead and add them and set them aside into the food processor, you can do that as well. So I'm going to leave that up to you. So then if you do add the cashews and you cook it for a minute, just remove it from the heat, and then we'll move on to the next step. And if you don't, just again remove it from the heat once the minute is up, and we'll move on to the next step as well. So I will see you then. Alright folks, so the chicken is done. And what you want to do, as I alluded to earlier, is you want to get out a food processor or a blender. If you have a blender, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you have a bigger food processor than what I have, I don't really have the space for a large one. You're just going to want to do this then in 2 batches if you have a smaller one, which is fine. And then once you do each half, you just want to combine into a bowl. So I have everything in here except, like I said, the chicken mixture. And you're just going to want to beat it together until it's well combined. Now, like I said, I'm going to put it in a bowl. And then I'm going to combine that with the chicken once that's done. So then once that is done, we'll move on to the next step. So I will see you then. Alright folks, so you can see we are done. Now really quickly, on the Asiago spread, what you want to do is before you actually serve it, is you want to refrigerate it for at least 2 hours. And that's really it. Now, you can see I got some crackers out for this. This goes good with also toasted baguette slices. This goes good with any sort of chip and or cracker. So really, you're going to have a good time either way with one of them. So if you did enjoy making this today, like, subscribe, share. Please comment below. I want to know what you think of this. So I want to thank you again for spending your time with me on this food journey, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.